I stood in the police station, hands shaking, as Detective Ortiz read me my rights. My dad wouldn't even look at me. His new wife, the woman he'd married less than a year after my mom died, stood behind him with this perfect, sympathetic expression on her face. But I saw it. That tiny smirk at the corner of her mouth when she thought no one was watching. She'd just accused me of stealing over $8,000 from her charity fundraiser for childhood cancer. The same disease that killed my mom. I was 18 years old, a scholarship candidate, and I'd never stolen anything in my life. How did I become a criminal in my own father's eyes? And how did I discover that the woman he married wasn't even who she said she was? If this story already touches your heart, please subscribe and stay with me to hear what happened next. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. You might feel less alone in your own struggles. My name is Alyssa Chen, and I'm 18 years old. 6 months ago, my life was pretty normal, or at least as normal as it could be after losing my mom. I'm a senior at Lincoln High. I work part-time as a barista at the Grind coffee shop downtown, and I've been busting my butt to keep my grades up for a business scholarship. I've got a younger brother, Dylan, who's 12, and honestly, I've been more of a parent to him than our dad has been since Mom passed away 2 years ago from ovarian cancer. My mom was everything to me. She was this amazing, warm person who always saw the best in people. She taught art at the community center and volunteered everywhere. When she got sick, it happened so fast. One day, she was teaching Dylan how to make paper cranes, and 6 months later, she was gone. I still wear her old leather jacket. It's too big for me, but it smells like her perfume if I concentrate hard enough. She left me her messenger bag too, the one she carried everywhere. Inside, there's still a note she wrote me before she died. Lyssa, you're stronger than you know. Take care of each other. Love isn't about blood, it's about showing up. Mom, I read that note every single day. After Mom died, Dad just shut down. He threw himself into his work as an accountant, barely came home, barely talked to us. Dylan started having nightmares, and I was the one who sat with him at 3 a.m. I was the one who made sure he ate breakfast and got to school on time. I was 17, grieving my mom, and suddenly I was responsible for everything. I didn't mind taking care of Dylan, I love my brother, but I missed having a parent who actually parented us. Then, about 10 months after Mom's funeral, Dad told us he'd met someone. Her name was Natalie Hayes, and she was, in his words, helping him heal. I wanted to be happy for him. I really did. Part of me thought maybe if Dad was happier, he'd be present again. Maybe Dylan would stop having those nightmares. Maybe we could be something close to a family again. I met Natalie for the first time at a restaurant downtown. She was beautiful in this polished, intimidating way. Platinum blonde hair in a perfect bob, expensive clothes, perfect makeup. She smiled at me, but it felt rehearsed, like she'd practiced in a mirror. She asked me questions about school and my plans for college, but her eyes kept drifting to her phone. When I mentioned my mom's art classes at the community center, Natalie's smile tightened just a fraction. Well, that's lovely, she said in this condescending voice. But I'm sure you're ready to move forward now. Move forward? It had barely been a year. Dylan didn't like her either. On the drive home, he whispered to me, "She's fake, Lyssa. Did you see how she looked at Dad's watch? Like she was calculating something." I told him to give her a chance, but honestly, I felt the same way. Dad married her 3 months later. No big wedding, just a courthouse ceremony. Dylan and I weren't even invited. Dad said it was simpler this way, and they wanted something intimate. When Natalie moved into our house, the house where my mom had painted the kitchen yellow, where she'd helped me with my homework at that table, where she died in the bedroom upstairs, it felt like an invasion. Natalie immediately started changing things. She threw out my mom's gardening tools, said they were cluttering the garage. She redecorated the living room, getting rid of the family photos that had my mom in them. When I asked where they went, she said, "Your father needs to move on, Alyssa." "You should too." She said my name like it tasted bad. I found the photos later in a box in the basement, some of them bent and damaged. But I tried. I really tried to accept her because I wanted Dylan to have some kind of stable home, and I didn't want to make things harder for Dad. Natalie was sugary sweet to him, always touching his arm, laughing at his jokes, calling him honey in this exaggerated way. But when he wasn't around, her whole demeanor changed. She was cold, dismissive, always on her phone. About 2 months after she moved in, Natalie announced she was organizing a charity fundraiser for pediatric cancer research. She said she wanted to honor my mom's memory, and give back to the community. She set up a whole event at the community center, silent auction, donation table, the works. She even made a Facebook page and started collecting donations online. At first, I thought maybe I'd misjudged her. Maybe she did have a good heart. I helped her with the event. I spent my weekends after work designing flyers, posting on social media, reaching out to local businesses for auction donations. Natalie seemed almost grateful. "You're so good at this, Alyssa," she'd say. "You should really consider event planning as a career." It was the nicest she'd ever been to me. The fundraiser happened on a Saturday in April. We raised over $12,000. I watched people from my mom's old art classes show up with tears in their eyes, writing checks, hugging my dad. It felt good. It felt like maybe some good could come from all this pain. Natalie was in her element, schmoozing with donors, taking photos, playing the gracious organizer. She wore this elegant wrap dress and pearl necklace, looking every bit the philanthropist. After the event, Natalie asked me to help her count the cash donations and checks. We sat in the community center office, and I watched her carefully log everything into a spreadsheet. $8,400 in cash and $4,200 in checks, she said. "This is wonderful. These kids are going to get the help they need." I felt proud. For the first time since my mom died, I felt like I'd done something that mattered. That feeling lasted exactly 1 week. The next Saturday, I came home from my shift at the grind to find my dad and Natalie sitting at the kitchen table with expressions I couldn't read. Dad looked devastated. Natalie looked, I don't know, concerned, but in that fake way she had. "Alyssa, sit down," Dad said. His voice was shaking. I sat down, my heart already pounding. "What's wrong?" Natalie reached across the table like she was going to take my hand, but I pulled back instinctively. Her eyes flickered with something, annoyance, before she composed her face into sympathy again. "Honey, there's money missing from the fundraiser," she said softly. "A lot of money," I stared at her. "What do you mean missing?" "When I went to deposit the donations at the bank yesterday," Natalie said, "I discovered that over $8,000 in cash was gone. I've gone through everything multiple times and there's only $400 in cash remaining." My stomach dropped. "That's impossible." We counted it together. "Did someone break into your car?" "Did you, Alyssa?" Dad's voice was tight. Natalie checked everything. The money was fine when she brought it home from the community center. She locked it in our safe upstairs. But this morning, when she went to deposit it, most of it was gone. I looked between them, my brain struggling to process what they were implying. "Wait, are you saying someone stole it from our house?" "You were the only other person who knew the exact amount," Natalie said, and her voice was so gentle, so sad. "And you're the only one besides your father and me who was home all week." The room started spinning. "You think I took it?" "I don't want to think that," Natalie said. "But Alyssa, I know money's been tight for you. College applications, your brother's expenses. I understand if you were desperate. I didn't touch that money." My voice came out louder than I intended. "I would never— that money was for cancer research. For kids whose moms—" I couldn't even finish the sentence. The accusation felt like a physical blow. Dad finally looked at me, and what I saw in his eyes broke something inside me. Doubt. He actually doubted me. "Lyssa, if you needed money for college, you could have asked me. Stealing from a charity, from your stepmother—" "I didn't steal anything!" I was standing now, my chair scraping back. "Dad, how can you even think that? You know me." "I know you've been stressed about scholarships," he said quietly. "I know you've been working 2 jobs, 1 job. I work 1 job, and I do it to help with bills because you're always too busy to notice that Dylan needs new shoes or that the electric bill is overdue." Tears were streaming down my face now. "I can't believe you're taking her side. You've known her for a year. You've known me for 18 years. "Don't raise your voice at your father," Natalie said. And there it was, that cold edge I'd heard when Dad wasn't around. "Alyssa, I need you to calm down," Dad said. He looked exhausted, defeated. "Natalie has already filed a police report. If you took the money, you need to return it now before this gets worse." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "She filed a police report? Against me?" "I had to," Natalie said, and I swear I saw the corner of her mouth twitch upward for just a second. "It's insurance fraud if I don't report the theft. I'm sure you understand." I understood perfectly. She'd set me up, and my own father believed her over me. I ran upstairs to my room and locked the door. Dylan was already there, sitting on my bed with his knees pulled up to his chest. "I heard everything," he whispered. "Lisa, I know you didn't take it." "Thanks, Dill." I sat down next to him, wrapping my arm around his skinny shoulders. "Dad doesn't believe me." "She's lying," Dylan said fiercely. "I've seen her, Lisa. She's always on her phone, always texting people Dad doesn't know about. And last week, I heard her on the phone in the garage saying something about moving the timeline up and the husband doesn't suspect anything. I think she took the money herself." I pulled back to look at him. "You're sure?" "I'm sure she's bad news," he said. "But I don't have proof." Neither did I. And without proof, I was just a desperate teenager accusing her stepmother of framing her. The next few days were a nightmare. Detective Sarah Ortiz came to the house to interview me. She was professional, but skeptical, asking me the same questions over and over. Did I have access to the safe? Yes, because Dad had given me the combination years ago in case of emergency. Did I know how much money was in there? Yes, because I'd helped count it. Did I have any large expenses coming up? Yes, college tuition. Did I have any unusual purchases in the last week? No, where were you last Friday night? Detective Ortiz asked. Here, at home. In my room. Can anyone verify that? My brother, I guess. But he was asleep. She wrote something in her notebook, and I could practically see her adding up all the circumstantial evidence against me. Access, knowledge, opportunity, motive. It didn't matter that I was innocent. On paper, I looked guilty. Natalie played her part perfectly. She told Detective Ortiz how difficult it had been for me since my mother passed, how she'd tried to be supportive, but I'd always been resistant to her. She showed concern for my emotional state and suggested I might have acted impulsively. She even cried, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, talking about how betrayed she felt. I wanted to scream. But screaming would only make me look more guilty, more unstable, more like the troubled teen they were painting me to be. The worst part was watching my dad believe every word she said. He stopped making eye contact with me. He asked me in this exhausted voice to just tell the truth so we can move past this. He actually suggested I see a therapist to work through my impulse control issues. I'd never stolen a pack of gum in my life. Within 3 days, word had spread through school. I don't know how. Maybe Natalie told someone, maybe Dad mentioned it at work and it got back somehow, but suddenly everyone knew. Alyssa Chen, the girl who stole from a cancer charity. The girl who stole from a fundraiser honoring her own dead mother. People I'd known for years looked at me differently. Whispered when I walked by. My guidance counselor called me in for a chat about my scholarship application, gently suggesting I might want to address any legal issues before submitting. The scholarship I'd worked 4 years for was slipping away. I felt completely alone. My best friend Jenna was the only person who believed me without question. She showed up at my house that Friday after school with coffee and this fierce determination in her eyes. Okay, she said. We're going to figure this out. Walk me through everything. I told her the whole story, every detail I could remember. Jenna listened, taking notes on her phone. She was like that, methodical, smart, never accepting things at face value. When I finished, she looked up at me with narrowed eyes. Something doesn't add up, she said. If Natalie wanted to steal the money herself, why would she file a police report? That just draws attention. Unless she knew she could pin it on me, I said bitterly. She's been setting this up since the beginning. She knew I helped count the money. She knew I had access to the safe. She probably planned this the whole time, but why? Jenna asked. Why go through all this trouble to frame you? What does she get out of it? That was the question I couldn't answer. At first, I thought maybe she just didn't like me, wanted me out of the way. But this was too elaborate, too calculated. There had to be more to it. We need to find out who she really is, Jenna said. Because I'm betting Natalie Hayes isn't exactly who she says she is. That night, after Dad had gone to bed and Natalie had left for some charity meeting she had scheduled, Jenna and I sat in my room with my laptop and started digging. We started with the basics: social media, public records, anything we could find on Natalie Hayes. Her Facebook page looked normal at first glance. Photos of her and Dad, posts about the fundraiser, inspirational quotes about healing and moving forward. But Jenna noticed something strange. Look at her friend list, she said, pointing at the screen. She only has 73 friends, and most of them are from your area. If she's lived here for a year, where are her old friends? Her family? Her coworkers from before? I scrolled through the list. Jenna was right. Everyone was local, people she'd met since moving here. There were no old college friends, no relatives, no friends from whatever city she'd lived in before. It was like her life had started 1 year ago. Check her photos, Jenna suggested. I clicked on Natalie's photo albums. There were hundreds of recent photos, but nothing older than 15 months. No childhood pictures, no college photos, no evidence of her life before she appeared in my dad's world. That's weird, right? I said. Everyone has old photos on their Facebook. Incredibly weird, Jenna agreed. She pulled out her own laptop. Let me try something. I watched as Jenna downloaded one of Natalie's profile pictures and uploaded it to a reverse image search engine. She'd taught herself how to do deep internet research for a journalism project last year, and now she was putting those skills to use. The search came back with nothing. We tried several more photos. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Then, on the 7th photo, one Natalie had posted from a girls' night out at a wine bar, we got a hit. The same photo appeared on a different Facebook page under a different name, Jennifer Hayes. Same face, same platinum blonde hair, but the profile was from 3 years ago and based in Columbus, Ohio. Jenna and I stared at the screen in silence. Maybe it's a relative? I said, but I didn't believe it. Jenna clicked on the Jennifer Hayes profile. It was still active but hadn't been updated in 3 years. The last post was from February 2022, something about moving for a fresh start. We scrolled through Jennifer's photos and my blood ran cold. There in several pictures was a man who wasn't my father. Jennifer, or Natalie, or whoever she was, had her arms around him, smiling at the camera. The captions called him my hubby and the love of my life. She was married before, Jenna breathed. Did your dad know that? I shook my head. He never mentioned it. He said she was divorced, but this guy, I clicked on the man's profile. Mark Hayes, also from Columbus. His relationship status still said, married to Jennifer Hayes. Jenna was already searching for more information. She found a local news article from Columbus dated March 2022. The headline made my stomach turn, Local Man Seeks Missing Wife. Mark Hayes had filed a missing persons report after his wife, Jennifer Hayes, disappeared with $20,000 from their joint savings account. She'd left no note, no explanation. She'd simply vanished. Oh my God, I whispered. She's done this before. We kept searching, going deeper. Jenna showed me how to search for variations of the name, how to cross-reference photos, how to find digital footprints people thought they'd erased. It took us hours, but we found 2 more identities. Rebecca Morgan, from Phoenix, Arizona. Same face, different hair color, brunette instead of blonde. Rebecca had been engaged to a man named David Turner in 2019. According to social media posts and public records, she'd organized a charity event for veterans, collected substantial donations, and then disappeared along with the money. David had posted about it online, warning others about a scammer who'd stolen from him, and before that, Natasha Collins from Portland, Oregon. Another charity fundraiser. Another vanishing act. Another heartbroken man left behind. She's a con artist, Jenna said, and her voice was shaking. She finds vulnerable men, marries them or gets close to them, organizes fake charity events, steals the money, frames someone else if she can, and disappears. But she hasn't disappeared, I pointed out. She's still here. She married my dad. Maybe she's changing her pattern, Jenna suggested. Or maybe... She paused, looking at me with sudden understanding. Maybe your dad has something she wants that's bigger than a one-time charity scam. My mom's life insurance. The house. Dad's retirement accounts. The college funds she'd set up for Dylan and me. Altogether, it was worth over $400,000. She's playing a longer game this time, I said slowly. The charity money was just a test run. She's framing me to get me out of the picture so she can get everything. If this story is breaking your heart like it broke mine, please hit that like button and tell me in the comments if you've ever felt completely misunderstood or betrayed. I took screenshots of everything we found. The multiple profiles, the news articles, the posts from her previous victims. I saved it all to a thumb drive and made backup copies. Then Jenna and I looked at each other, both realizing the same thing. We need to take this to Detective Ortiz, I said. Will she believe you? Jenna asked. You're already her main suspect. I don't know, I admitted. But what choice do I have? The next morning, I called Detective Ortiz and asked if I could meet with her. She sounded surprised but agreed. Dad was at work, and Natalie was at the gym, or so she said. So I took the bus downtown to the police station with my thumb drive clutched in my sweaty hand. Detective Ortiz led me to a small interview room. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept much. Alyssa, if you're here to confess— I'm not, I interrupted. I'm here because I have evidence that Natalie isn't who she says she is. I spent the next hour showing her everything Jenna and I had found. The multiple identities, the previous victims, the pattern of charity fraud. Detective Ortiz's expression shifted from skepticism to interest to something like alarm. You did all this research yourself? She asked. My friend helped me. But it's all right there. Natalie Hayes is actually Michelle Bartlett, that's her real name. She's been running this scam for at least 6 years that we could find. Probably longer. Detective Ortiz leaned back in her chair, studying me. This is substantial. But Alyssa, I need you to understand something. Even if everything you're saying is true, it doesn't prove you didn't take the money from the fundraiser. My heart sank. But she framed me. She probably took the money herself and hid it somewhere. I believe you might be right, Detective Ortiz said carefully. But I need hard evidence. I need to verify these identities, track down these previous victims, build a case. That takes time. And in the meantime, the evidence for the theft still points to you. So I'm still a suspect. You're still a suspect, she confirmed. But I'm going to investigate Natalie, or Michelle, or whoever she is. If she's running a con, I'm going to prove it. Can you give me a few days? I nodded, even though a few days felt like forever. Thank you. Thank you for believing me. I didn't say I believed you, Detective Ortiz said, but her tone was softer. I said I'm going to investigate. There's a difference. But Alyssa, you did good work here. This is solid research. I left the police station feeling the smallest flicker of hope. Someone with actual authority was looking into Natalie's background. Maybe, just maybe, the truth would come out. But things got worse before they got better. That night, Natalie cornered me in the kitchen. Dad was upstairs with Dylan, helping him with homework. Natalie's smile was gone, replaced by something cold and calculating. I know you went to the police today, she said quietly. Detective Ortiz called me. My heart started pounding. I told her the truth. You told her lies, Natalie hissed. Desperate lies from a desperate girl who got caught stealing. Did you really think some fake social media profiles would prove anything? I've been Jennifer Hayes my whole life. That's my maiden name. The Rebecca and Natasha profiles are just catfishing accounts using my photos. People steal identities all the time. She'd already prepared her story. Of course she had. You're a con artist, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You've been doing this for years, and I'm going to prove it. Natalie stepped closer, and her voice dropped to barely above a whisper. You're not going to prove anything. And if you keep pushing this, I'm going to make sure those theft charges stick. $8,000? That's grand larceny. You could go to jail, Alyssa. You're 18 now. You'd be tried as an adult. Is that really what you want? I forced myself to meet her cold blue eyes. I want the truth. The truth, she said with a soft laugh, is whatever I say it is. Your father believes me. The police believe me. Who's going to believe you? A moody teenager with access, motive, and opportunity? She walked away, leaving me shaking in the kitchen. That night, I lay awake in my bed, staring at the ceiling. Everything felt hopeless. Even if Detective Ortiz was investigating, Natalie had explanations ready. She was always 3 steps ahead. And I was running out of time. The district attorney's office had already contacted me about potential charges. Dylan crept into my room around midnight. Can't sleep either? He whispered. Not really. He climbed into bed next to me like he used to when he was little and had nightmares. Lysa, I heard something else. I turned to look at him. What? Last night, when Natalie thought everyone was asleep, she was on the phone in the backyard. I was getting water and heard her through the window. She was talking to someone about bank accounts and moving money. She said something like, once I get access to the life insurance, we'll be set. Just need to keep the daughter busy with the theft case. My blood ran cold. She said that exactly? I think so. I was scared, so I didn't listen to the whole thing. But Alyssa, she has someone working with her. And they're planning something with Mom's life insurance. I sat up, my mind racing. Mom's life insurance policy had been $200,000, and it had gone directly to Dad. If Natalie was talking about getting access to it, she's planning to take everything from Dad. We have to warn him, Dylan said. He won't believe us, I said bitterly. He didn't believe me about the charity money. Why would he believe this? But even as I said it, I knew I had to try. Dad might not believe me, but I couldn't just stand by while Natalie destroyed what was left of our family. The next morning at breakfast, I tried one more time. Natalie had conveniently left early for a yoga class, so it was just Dad, Dylan, and me. Dad, I need you to listen to me, I started. Really listen. Natalie is not who she says she is. Dad's expression immediately closed off. Alyssa, we're not doing this again. Please. I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshots Jenna and I had found. Look at these profiles. It's her, Dad. She's used different names, different men, and she always runs the same scam. Charity fraud. Dad barely glanced at the screen. Those could be anyone. People use other people's photos online all the time. Dylan heard her on the phone. I pressed. She was talking about getting access to Mom's life insurance money. I was probably dreaming, Dylan said quietly, and my heart broke. He was 12 and scared, caught between loyalty to me and fear of contradicting Dad. You weren't dreaming, I insisted. Dad, please. Just look into her background. Call the police in Columbus. Enough. Dad's voice was sharp and Dylan flinched. Dad never yelled. I am tired of this, Alyssa. I understand you're upset about the theft investigation. I understand you don't like Natalie, but these conspiracy theories need to stop. You're making things worse for yourself. I'm telling you the truth. The truth is that you had access to that money, you had motive, and now you're trying to deflect blame by making up stories about your stepmother. He stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. I have to get to work. We'll discuss this later. He left, and I sat there with tears streaming down my face. Dylan put his small hand on my arm. I believe you, he whispered. That was something, at least. I decided to skip school that day. I couldn't face the whispers, the judgment, the way teachers looked at me with pity and disappointment. Instead, I went to the grind for my shift, grateful for the mindless routine of making lattes and cappuccinos. Jenna showed up during my break. How'd it go with the detective? I filled her in on everything. Detective Ortiz's cautious investigation, Natalie's threat, Dad's refusal to listen, Dylan's late-night observation. We need more evidence, Jenna said firmly. Something undeniable. Something she can't explain away. Like what? Jenna pulled out her laptop. I've been doing more digging. Michelle Bartlett, Natalie's real name, has a criminal record. Small-time fraud stuff from when she was younger. But here's the thing, she has a sister. Angela Bartlett lives in Seattle. I found her Facebook profile. You want to contact her? Already did, Jenna said with a slight smile. Sent her a message this morning explaining the situation. She responded 10 minutes ago. She turned her laptop toward me. The message from Angela Bartlett was long, detailed, and damning. Angela wrote that her sister Michelle had been running cons since she was 19. She'd been estranged from the family for years because of it. Angela had tried to warn previous victims, but Michelle always moved on before she could be caught. According to Angela, Michelle had at least 7 different identities that she knew of, complete with fake IDs, fake social security numbers, the whole setup. She'd been arrested twice, but had managed to avoid serious jail time through plea deals and manipulation. She's willing to testify, Jenna said. She's willing to talk to the police about everything she knows. For the first time in days, I felt something like hope. I forwarded Angela's message to Detective Ortiz immediately. She responded within an hour. Come to the station. Bring your friend. Jenna and I practically ran to the police station. Detective Ortiz was waiting for us with 2 other detectives and a pile of paperwork. She looked at me with something that might have been respect. We've been verifying your information, she said, and we've been in contact with police departments in Columbus, Phoenix, and Portland. Alyssa, you were right. The woman calling herself Natalie Hayes is Michelle Bartlett, and she's wanted in 3 states for fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement. I felt dizzy with relief. So you believe me now? I believe the evidence, Detective Ortiz said. We're bringing her in for questioning today. We've also obtained a search warrant for your house. If she stole that charity money, we're going to find it. What about my dad? Detective Ortiz's expression softened. We'll need to question him too, but it appears he's a victim in this, not an accomplice. She targeted him specifically. Recent widower, life insurance payout, Assets. You getting framed for the theft was probably to discredit you in case you figured out what she was really after. Everything clicked into place. Natalie had been playing a long game, but I'd disrupted her plans by being too observant, too stubborn to accept the blame she'd tried to pin on me. What happens now? Jenna asked. Now we execute the search warrant and bring Ms. Bartlett in for questioning. I'll need you both to stay available in case we have follow-up questions. I nodded, barely able to process what was happening. After days of being treated like a criminal, suddenly I was being treated like a witness. It was disorienting and exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Detective Ortiz stood up, and the other detectives did too. Alyssa, one more thing. The work you did, tracking down these identities, that took real skill. You might want to consider criminal justice or investigation as a career path. You've got good instincts, I managed a small smile. Thank you. That afternoon, I sat in Jenna's car parked down the street from my house, watching as police cars pulled up. Detective Ortiz and 3 other officers went to the door. I saw Dad answer, looking confused and alarmed. I saw Natalie appear behind him, and even from this distance, I could see her expression change from surprise to calculation to barely concealed panic. They were inside for over an hour. During that time, Jenna and I barely spoke, both glued to the scene unfolding before us. Finally, the officers emerged. And they had Natalie in handcuffs. She was arguing, her voice carrying across the quiet suburban street. This is a mistake. My husband will vouch for me. I'm the victim here. His daughter stole from me. But they put her in the back of a police car anyway. I watched as they drove away, taking the woman who'd tried to destroy my life along with them. Dad stood in the driveway looking lost. Dylan was next to him, and when he spotted Jenna's car, he waved at me. I got out and walked over slowly. Alyssa, Dad said, and his voice cracked. They found the money. The charity money. It was in Natalie's, in Michelle's car, hidden in a spare tire compartment. You didn't take it. I told you I didn't, he flinched. I know, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have. He trailed off, tears sliding down his face. I wanted to stay angry at him. Part of me was still angry. But seeing him standing there, realizing how thoroughly he'd been manipulated, I felt something soften inside me. She fooled a lot of people, Dad, I said quietly. Not just you, but I'm your father. I should have trusted you. I should have protected you, and instead... He couldn't finish. Dylan threw his arms around both of us, and we stood there in a messy, 3-person hug in the driveway while neighbors peeked through curtains and police officers documented evidence inside our house. Detective Ortiz came out carrying several boxes of evidence. She saw us and walked over. Mr. Chen, we're going to need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement. Alyssa, you too. What's going to happen to her? I asked. Michelle Bartlett is going to be charged with multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, theft by deception, and a few other charges across multiple states. She's facing serious prison time. As for your charges, Alyssa, they're being dropped. We have more than enough evidence that you were framed. The relief was so intense I thought my knees might give out. Thank you. You helped solve this case, Detective Ortiz said. You should be proud of yourself. Over the next few weeks, the full extent of Michelle's cons came to light. Detective Ortiz kept me updated on the investigation, and I learned things that made my skin crawl. Michelle Bartlett had been running variations of this scam for over 12 years. She'd stolen from at least 11 different people that investigators could confirm, possibly more. The total amount was over $300,000. She'd married 4 men, been engaged to 3 others, and disappeared from all of them once she'd gotten what she wanted. Her real goal with my dad had been bigger than the charity money. She'd been planning to slowly isolate him from Dylan and me, convince him to add her to his accounts and life insurance beneficiary list, and eventually... Well, Detective Ortiz didn't say it outright, but the implication was clear. Michelle had been researching poisons and accidents on her computer. My dad might not have lived much longer if her plan had succeeded. That thought kept me up at night. They also found evidence of her partner, a man she'd been working with, someone who helped her set up fake identities and launder money. He was arrested too, though I never learned his name. They operated as a team, targeting vulnerable people and exploiting their grief and loneliness. The trial took months. I had to testify about finding the multiple identities, about the fundraiser, about Natalie's behavior in our home. Sitting in that courtroom, looking at Michelle Bartlett in her orange jumpsuit, I felt a strange mix of vindication and sadness. She'd wasted her intelligence and charisma on hurting people. She could have been anything, done anything legitimate, but she'd chosen to be a predator. When the verdict came back, guilty on all counts, I cried. Not for her, but for all the victims she'd left in her wake. For my dad, who'd trusted her. For Mark Hayes and David Turner and all the others who'd believed her lies. For the charities that never received the donations people thought they'd given. For Dylan, who'd lost 2 years of having a real family because of her manipulations, and maybe a little bit for myself. For the innocence I'd lost when I realized that someone could look you in the eye, smile, and be planning your destruction the entire time. The judge sentenced Michelle Bartlett to 15 years in prison. With all the charges across multiple states, she wouldn't be eligible for parole for at least 10 years. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching this from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more stories of strength and vindication. Have you ever experienced a family betrayal or had to fight to be believed? Share your thoughts in the comments. The aftermath was complicated. Dad was devastated, not just by the betrayal, but by the guilt of not believing me. He started therapy, which honestly he should have done when Mom died. He's trying to be present now, trying to rebuild trust with Dylan and me. It's slow, and there are still days when I'm angry at him, but we're working on it. Dylan stopped having nightmares. Once Natalie was gone, he started sleeping through the night again. He's doing better in school, hanging out with friends, being a regular 12-year-old kid. Sometimes I catch him looking at me with this expression of awe, like I'm some kind of superhero. I'm not. I'm just someone who refused to accept blame for something I didn't do. The community was shocked when the truth came out. People who'd whispered about me, who'd believed I'd stolen from a cancer charity, suddenly wanted to apologize. Some of them did, awkwardly and sincerely. Others avoided eye contact, ashamed of how quickly they'd judged me. I accepted the apologies from people who meant them and ignored the rest. I didn't need their validation anymore, the scholarship I'd been working toward. I got it. The admissions committee had put my application on hold during the investigation. But once the charges were dropped and the full story came out, they not only gave me the scholarship but wrote an article about me for the university newsletter. Students' Determination Exposes Con Artist, the headline read. It was embarrassing and gratifying at the same time. Jenna got recognition too. The police department gave her a civilian commendation for her investigative work. She's thinking about studying forensic science now, and honestly, she'd be amazing at it. As for me, I'm at college now, studying business and criminal justice. I still work at the grind on weekends when I come home to visit Dad and Dylan. I still wear Mom's leather jacket. I still read her note when I need strength. What I learned from all of this is that being young doesn't mean you're powerless. When everyone doubted me, my dad, the police, my community, I had two choices: accept the role of victim they were assigning me, or fight back with the truth. I chose to fight. And yeah, it was terrifying. Yeah, there were moments I wanted to give up. But I didn't. And that's what mattered. I also learned that people show you who they really are through their actions, not their words. Michelle Bartlett said all the right things, but her actions were consistently selfish and cruel. Dad said he loved me, but his actions showed he'd prioritized his own grief and comfort over protecting his kids. The people who showed up for me, Jenna, Detective Ortiz, even Dylan in his quiet, 12-year-old way, those were the people who actually cared. Trust isn't something you give freely just because someone's family or because they say the right things. Trust is earned through consistent, honest action over time. I'm more careful now about who I trust. Some people might call that cynical. I call it wise. Looking back now, I can see all the red flags I missed at first. The way Natalie isolated Dad from us. The way she had no past, no real history. The way she played the victim while making herself the center of attention. The way she underestimated me because I was young. If I could go back and tell myself anything when I first met her, it would be this: trust your gut. When something feels wrong, even if you can't articulate why, pay attention to that feeling. My mom used to say that love isn't about blood. It's about showing up. She was right. Natalie was never family, even though she married my dad. But Jenna, who stayed up all night helping me investigate, she's family. Detective Ortiz, who took my evidence seriously and did her job with integrity. She's an ally I'll never forget. Dylan, who believed me when everyone else doubted. He's the best brother anyone could ask for. And Dad. He's trying. He failed me when I needed him most, but he's working every day to make up for it. Forgiveness isn't instant, but it's possible when someone genuinely changes their behavior. We're rebuilding. It'll never be what it was before Mom died, but maybe it can be something different. Something honest. The experience changed me. I'm more cautious, more observant, more aware of how easily people can be manipulated. But I'm also more confident. I proved to myself that I could stand up for the truth even when the entire world seemed to be against me. I discovered a strength I didn't know I had. Sometimes people ask me if I'm angry at Michelle Bartlett. The honest answer is, not really, not anymore. I was furious at first, absolutely. But now I mostly feel sorry for her. She's going to spend the next decade of her life in prison, and what does she have to show for all those years of scheming? Nothing. No relationships, no real accomplishments, no legacy except the people she hurt. What a waste of a life. I think about the charity money sometimes. After the trial, the donations were returned to the people who'd given them, and Dad organized a new fundraiser, legitimate this time, that raised even more. Some good came out of all that pain, at least. Kids with cancer got the support they needed. Mom would have liked that. I'm not grateful for what happened. I wouldn't wish that experience on anyone. But I did learn from it. I learned that you can survive betrayal. You can survive being doubted and accused and isolated. You can come out the other side stronger, smarter, more sure of who you are and what you stand for. The night before I left for college, Dylan came into my room and sat on my bed like he used to. "I'm going to miss you," he said. "I'll be back every few weeks, I promised. And you can call me anytime." "I know." He was quiet for a moment. "Lisa, thank you for protecting me. From her, I mean. You don't have to thank me for that. You're my brother. I know, but you could have just focused on proving you were innocent. Instead, you made sure she couldn't hurt me or Dad anymore. That's different." He was right. It was different. Because this was never just about clearing my name. It was about protecting what was left of my family. It was about making sure Michelle Bartlett couldn't destroy anyone else's life. It was about justice. Not just for me, but for everyone she'd ever hurt. I'm 19 now, almost 20. The investigation, trial, and aftermath took almost 2 years of my life. Sometimes I wonder who I would have been if none of this had happened. Maybe I would have been less suspicious, more open, more willing to trust. Maybe I would have gone into pure business without the criminal justice minor. Maybe I would have had a normal freshman year instead of splitting time between classes and court appearances. But I am who I am because of everything I've been through. Losing my mom, being framed by a con artist, fighting for the truth when no one believed me. Those experiences shaped me. They don't define me, but they're part of me. And honestly, I like who I became. I'm strong. I'm resilient. I'm someone who stands up for what's right, even when it's hard. I'm someone who can spot a liar from a mile away. I'm someone who fights for people who can't fight for themselves. That's who Alyssa Chen is now. The question I asked at the beginning, how did I become a criminal in my own father's eyes? And how did I discover that the woman he married wasn't who she said she was? The answer is complicated. I became a criminal in his eyes because he was vulnerable and manipulated by an expert con artist who knew exactly how to exploit his grief. I discovered the truth because I refused to accept blame for something I didn't do. Because I had a best friend who believed in me, and because I was brave enough to dig for answers even when it was terrifying. But there's a bigger truth underneath all of that. Sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you can count on. Sometimes being right doesn't mean being believed. And sometimes the only person who can save you is yourself. I saved myself. With help from people who cared, yes, but ultimately I was the one who did the research, who confronted the truth, who refused to give up. That's the power we all have, even when we feel powerless. The power to keep fighting for the truth. If you're going through something similar, if you're being accused of something you didn't do, if someone is gaslighting you or manipulating you or trying to make you doubt your own reality, trust yourself. Document everything. Find allies you can trust. Don't give up. The truth has a way of coming out, but sometimes you have to fight like hell to bring it to light. Have you ever had to choose between accepting blame you didn't deserve or fighting for a truth no one wanted to hear? That's the choice I faced. I chose to fight, and it cost me relationships, peace of mind, and months of my life. But in the end, the truth won. And that's what matters. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the people who hurt us the most are teaching us the most important lessons. Michelle Bartlett taught me to trust my instincts, to question what doesn't add up, to stand up for myself no matter the cost. She taught me that appearing perfect on the outside often means something's rotten on the inside. She taught me that predators target vulnerability, so the best defense is building your own strength. Those weren't the lessons she intended to teach me. She intended to frame me, discredit me, and get me out of the way. But I learned them anyway, and now she's in prison while I'm building the life I want. If that's not justice, I don't know what is. The stories shared on this channel are entirely fictional and created solely for entertainment purposes. We believe in supporting young people and treating all family members with love and respect. These stories are meant to inspire reflection on family relationships and the importance of compassion and truth. Any resemblance to real people, events, or families is purely coincidental and unintentional. These narratives carry no specific cultural, political, or religious implications.